Justin's got it made in the shade, made in the breeze. Okay, let me go ahead and get our whatchamacall rolling. Just a second. PDF handout 7. How do you guys like a week with no handouts? 3, 2, 1. And welcome to this archive, all you archivers. Can you believe it is like the end of January? Like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe it. We can't even say Happy New Year anymore. But anyway, yeah, I know and I want to try to Happy Chinese New Year. I know you guys hate them, and I understand why you guys hate them. It's like all these questions and like no textbook. Yeah, it's got to be tough. And I'm considering. Well, I would beg to differ with you on that, because I'm seeing some of you guys' work coming in, and I can tell, even if you can't, that yeah, you do. Yeah. That's part of what the learning process is. But I can understand why it's frustrating, because it's pretty much having to pound things out. But when I see, and especially I don't want to embarrass anybody. Well, you could. Yes, you could do that. But then you wouldn't have, my warmth and support. But no, I can understand that it's very frustrating. But when I look at some of you guys' work and the writing that you're turning in, particularly from someone in this class who's talking about it, it is obvious that there's a lot of learning taking place. And so I do want to scale back the handouts and try to take, like for instance, the handout we did that had investigation 1 and investigations 3. In a handout like that, I think looking at one of the investigations rather than 2 and making that like kind of a capstone thing for the week might be a better way to go. So one of the things we're doing with this week, yes, thank you for you can thank him for me, because I can see that the stuff, like I said, the stuff you're writing down, Kyla, is pretty sharp stuff. Yes, we are recording. We are at 3 minutes. So we have 12 minutes on this one. But the point I was trying to make is the Khan Academy stuff and the Brain Genie stuff, while it's a little easier to deal with, it doesn't always make you think as much as the handout stuff. So what I did this week is I said, we're going to take a break from the handouts. We're going to give you very little new material. The only real new thing being introduced this week is synthetic division, and that's not really new. It's basically just a different way to set up polynomial long division. Maybe simpler. Sometimes it's easier for people to think about it that way. I can actually do regular long division faster than synthetic sometimes, I think. But so I try to keep it very light this week, and that was twofold. One, I want everybody to look back over, especially polynomial 7, 8, and 10, and try to make sure that they've got that in, because right now there's like half the class that has not gotten all 3 of those in from last week. Okay, so kind of a catch-up week. kind of a light week to catch up. The second thing that I wanted to do, even for those people that don't need to catch up, is I just wanted the pace to kind of back off and slow down, because I could feel, and from what I'm getting from the conversation, no problem, Karen. What I'm getting from the conversation here is that there are people that are closing on burning out with the handout material. So, but I just want to emphasize, like, you're not alone with that feeling, because that is what the state has put out to try to prepare you guys for taking the Algebra 2 end of course exam in April-May timeframe. Okay? Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. So anyway, as we take a look at this week, and as we take a look at no, they're not a requirement. They're just basically the state asked professors at University of Hilo, University of Hawaii at Hilo, to help them develop material that would prepare students to take, but nobody's seen the exams. We just know the standards the exams will be based on. And so basically what the professors did is they developed material that would ask students questions and give them practice handling concepts in a way that was most likely to be on this test at the end of the year. But this test at the end of the year is the first time the test is going to be given. And like I said, they're not. Thank you, Vernon. They're just trying to do their best to get people prepared. So what I'm going to do, because I realize that, especially in our environment, like I said, there are a lot of students around the state who are working on this curriculum, but they do have the support of being in a classroom 3 to 5 times a week. And we have WebEx twice, and it's just really different. So I understand that for you, it's much more challenging. But like I said, from what I'm seeing in the work coming back, there are some of you that are understanding this material, even if grudgingly so, in a way that is deeper than you will understand it simply going through Khan or simply going through Brain Genie. It has you working in a way that is much more thoughtful, even if it is much more painful. So enough talk about that. Let's go ahead and share my desktop. And how many of you guys watched all the videos on that Salman did on the synthetic division? Anybody? Nobody? Okay, they weren't necessarily, they weren't needed. You could have gotten the information someplace else, but I thought it was kind of helpful to be able to do the work at Brain Genie. Let me go ahead and, oh shucks, it's right behind this tab. There we go. Okay, if you just went to Brain Genie, okay, that was cool too. They have a video on this, and then it's pretty simple to just click on this and to kind of see, okay, you can run through that a couple of times, and you can see basically what synthetic division is about, is taking the, It's probably, you know, he's probably using my mic. I don't know. My mic always seems like it's kind of sketchy too. Anyway, it's taking the long division idea of a binomial going into a polynomial, and it's basically just setting it up so that we have all the coefficients outlined here, okay, in the top row, and then we're taking basically the solution for x. Instead of just this factor, we're taking -6, okay, thinking of that as the solution of x on the binomial, and we're dividing that in, because why? Well, in long division, we're subtracting, but here we're adding all these values. Okay, the first coefficient just drops straight down. Now, if you watch the con video, you know that why this works, okay? And if you would like to know not just the technique, but if you want to know actually like how and why this works, Salman does a pretty decent job of putting a problem and solving it side by side with traditional long division and then synthetic division. And you can kind of see it unroll and see why, even though it seems, yeah, Uncle Sal. we'll have to write him a thank you note someday. Uncle Sal, thank you for all the math help. Anyway, that's great. Anyway, if you're not familiar with the algorithm or the step-by-step process, basically the first coefficient just drops straight down, and then divisor out here multiplies with it and comes here. So -6 times 1, and it comes under this, initially the 6, the 20, the -6, the 24, -6, and 18, they're not there. Those are the numbers we're going to be filling in as we're doing the synthetic division. So you drop down the first coefficient, multiply, -6 times 1, that becomes -6 right here. Then we add 2 plus -6 is -4. Now we multiply again, -6 times -4, we put a 24 under here. We add those, we have 1. -6 times 1, that becomes -6 under the next coefficient. We add them, we get -3. -6 times -3 is +18. We add again, we get 0. What does that tell us? That tells us we had a remainder of 0, okay? That means it went in even. Okay, so what are all of these numbers then? These are the coefficients to our answer. Our answer is going to be third degree, and its coefficient is going to be a 1. The next term, x squared, is going to be a -4. Then 1 here for x, -3 is our constant, and this 0 tells us there's no remainder. Okay. Now, again, with with Brain Genie, you have to make sure you fill in all the blanks. So the first blank is a x to the 4th. What do we put there? Very good. Okay. There is no x to the 4th term in the answer, but you have to watch, and they're not consistent with that. Sometimes they tack that on the front, and you got to watch for it, and sometimes they don't. Okay. And there we go, the Big Island people. Big Island people answering first. I'm just saying. Just saying. Okay. So if you go back and you're still a little confused, they'll give you another problem. You can try again. Okay. And this grid, I kind of like this grid setup better. But anyway, you can see right here, they have the coefficients. And they have, instead of a -2, they have a +2, and they run right through just the same way. Okay. Yeah, you can blame anything you want. But you know, it's just growing up on the Big Island. Anyway, so that being said, the new material is not all that challenging, and hopefully as you take a look at your week at a glance and you see week 4 with no handouts, and just a Khan playlist and the BG. Let's see. Not too challenging of a week for you guys who are used to. I got to tell you the truth. This handout curriculum, I mean, it is challenging. I would say that you guys probably, I won't even say probably, I just say flat out, you guys are working harder than any math students in the school. It's I know it's been pretty brutal. So I'm not saying totally, we're not saying goodbye to the handouts, but we are going to reduce them. We're right now on schedule. Okay, we're on schedule with the state. You guys are pretty much where everybody else in the state is, and actually, you're probably ahead of most of the people, because when I hear what the other teachers are saying, and when they send in questions and stuff, like most people seem to be weeks behind. So because we're pretty much ahead, what I'm going to do is next week, we are going to, again, have Brain Genie and Khan assignments, and our handout assignment is going to be, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and take all the work from the, oh man, I can't believe it, 16 minutes. Oh boy. Okay, well, synthetic division is not that hard anyway. Okay, so I'll stop that recording. Yeah, just watch Vernon's archive. X that out. Go to a PDF. It's my fault too. I have the clock right there. When I do it on a PDF, I have this like clock sitting right here. Just not paying attention. Oh, if you're joining us now in the archive, you just missed the whole first part. Now, thankfully, the first part really only involved going over the synthetic division and why it works. If you want to see that, Uncle Sal does a good job of that on Khan Academy. So you can go to why synthetic division works video, and that'll put it out there for you. And then all I was basically saying, and poor things for all those people who actually showed up, is that we are going to be stepping back somewhat from the handouts. Last week, I know, was particularly brutal with 3 handouts and just a lot of people, like half the class, did not turn in all 3. I've got like actually probably a third of the class that turned in all 3, and then other portions that turned in 1 or 2 or whatever. So now that's not why I try to take the feedback I'm getting from the class and modify the class so that we can move ahead in a way that is optimal. So I did take the feedback that gave me and realize, hey, I think we cannot keep going like this. We're all going to be dead by the end of the year. So I did listen to that feedback. At the same time, the Minor Bird one, what was the story about? Okay, Minor Bird. Okay, you remind me when I'm done explaining. Yeah, Minor Bird. I got to remember the Minor Bird. Okay, it's kind of sad though. You got to be prepared. It's kind of a tragic story. So I don't know if you guys want to stick around for it. But anyway, so I try to modify what we're doing to optimally have the class move forward. And it was actually, it's been since before break that people have really been dying with this material. And there are more people than ever that need to get caught up with the with the functions and the polynomials. So it's been a while that people have been under a lot of pressure, and some people have frankly just checked out. And I have not, put on the brakes. I have not, I've been seeing, and I've been reaching out to people and saying, hey, do you need help? Hey, and frankly, there are a lot of people that are just, they've just punted, they're just kind of bailing on it. And I still wasn't putting on the brakes, but this last week, looking over the stuff, and I just, something inside of me was going, I think we can make math more fun than this. I think it's getting too grueling, and I really do want you guys to love math. And I want you guys to have fun with math. And I want you guys to make it something so that after this class and after high school, it's something that you turn to as a natural resource, as kind of a natural part of yourself. And I just realized that with this curriculum, I was just going to burn out a lot of people. And so, yeah. So anyway, next week, we will again have Khan Academy. We will again have Brain Genie. And I will take the parts of the handout and I will condense it into a single assignment. Now that assignment is still going to be quite challenging, and it's going to ask you to really think, and it's going to ask you to really stretch your mind, but it will be one assignment worth 5 points. The Brain Genie will be worth 5 points. The Khan Academy will be worth 5 points. So it's not going to be, such a huge part of your grade that you have to be real stressed out about it. But I do believe it is still, important to push you guys into this type of material, because that's what they're going to, I think it would be, unfair of me to just say, oh yeah, don't worry about it, we'll just do Khan Academy and Brain Genie, and then come to the end of the year and you're taking this test and feeling like you're, retarded because you just haven't ever seen this kind of work before. So that's what I'm trying to balance that. Anyway, any questions? No? Okay. Now, also with that said, and I think I said this in the first part, which most of you guys, of course, have missed, is be sure, oh, Oahu got the no in first that time. So, okay, Vernon's fighting for you guys, Oahu. But the other thing is that while it's going to be lightening up a little bit, people who have missing assignments from the handout material still need to get that stuff in. It's very important that you guys get those. Those points are still available, and some of you, frankly, need to get it in just so that you can get enough not to be getting a D or an F. So be sure to do that. Okay. Let me go back. Where was it? I think it was in handout 7. Right here. I saw some people turning this in handout 7, and I wanted to touch on a couple of things real quick before I tell you guys about the Mina bird. Right here in handout 7, it says find the x intervals where x minus 3, x minus 2, x plus 3, x minus 3 greater than or equal to 0. How can we handle something like just thinking about it, not even graphing it, nothing like that, just thinking about it? If we think about this, this is what degree polynomial? Yep, bingo. Oh, okay, Carter's in there first. Good job now. So we got a third degree, and positive or negative leading coefficient. Yep, bingo. It's going to be positive. So it's going to be coming up, going down on the left, up on the right, down on the left, up on the right. Carter and Kyla. Anyway, down on the left, up on the right. So if it's going down on the left and up on the right, and we know that we're going to have zeros at 2, -3, and +3. we can kind of start seeing where this thing's going to be greater than or equal to 0. Well, of course, it's going to be equal to 0 at 2, -3, and positive, right? Or if we put them in order, -3, 2, and 3. Okay, if you guys can see that. And I want you, I don't want to go to a whiteboard. I don't want to go to Twidla. I want us actually to think about this and actually see it. Kind of see the graph in our head. See that this thing's coming up from the left hand. It's punching through -3 and going up, and then it's coming back down, and it's punching through 2, and then coming back up and punching through 3. Okay, you guys should be able to see that. Where does the thing hit the y-axis? What's the y-intercept on this thing? Ba-bing. Yep. If we put in zeros for all those x's, we have -2 times 3 times -3. It was close for him. And we have 18. Okay. So again, we can kind of picture what's going on with this. So we should be able to picture, where is this thing going to be greater than or equal to 0? Well, it's coming up. It's going to be greater than or equal to 0 at the -3, and then all the way to the 2, and then from 2 to 3, it's going to be under 0, right? And then beyond 3, it's going to be greater than 0 again. So hopefully you guys can, I want you to just kind of picture. And now as we come down, something that you guys have to know, see this rational parent down here, the rational function, okay, 1 over x, okay, yay, Big Island, 1 over x, that is not a polynomial, okay? And you see the radical? Oh, and Kyla's just pouring it on. But you see the radical? That parent function, that is not a polynomial, okay? So if it says, if f is a polynomial function, what is the domain? All real, okay? All real. Because polynomials, they're smooth and they're continuous. They just keep right on going. And they're a function, so they don't double back on each other, or, you know, these things, they go on for forever and ever. So, yeah, just wanted to, okay, that reminds me, feathers, that reminded me, I want to try and end it in this part. So, the other day, we're sitting in we're sitting around our table. Actually, we're sitting around 3 tables, because we have 3 dining tables pushed together to fit everybody. But so we're sitting around our tables, and there's this squawking that starts happening outside our house. Just a huge squawking. It was a mynah bird. We're like, whoa, what is going on with that mynah bird? So I look out the window, and I think it actually was my 2-year-old who was like, oh, look. Yes, Oahu is awesome. I grew up on Oahu, actually, born and raised on Oahu. Anyway, this mynah bird is in a tree like 20 yards away from the window, about 12 feet up, and this hawk has landed on this mynah bird and has it clamped down. The mynah bird can't move except for its head. It's like trying to get away. It's like trying to peck, and it's just making this ruckus, okay? And so, I don't know about you guys, but I kind of like, an eel, a hawk. A hawk nailed it. I like mynah birds. You know, mynah birds have like personality. You know, anyway. So we're like, we start shouting, and we like go out on our front porch, and this big hawk just looks at us, and it's just kind of like. And here's the other weird thing: the mynah birds were not saying boo. The other mynah birds, there were mynah birds all around in this tree. And they weren't even, they were making like nothing was going on, which was just crazy. So, like, I kind of didn't want to see, I thought maybe it'll let it go if we scare it or something like that. All it did was tighten its grip. That thing kept squawking. It just jumped up, flew away with the mynah bird. And I was like, wow, Now, myna birds will actually chase hawks. They'll like if you I don't know if you some of you might not have hawks, but we have a bunch of hawks that live in our neighborhood, and like you'll see them sometimes. And myna birds, like three, four myna birds, sometimes even just two, they'll like chase a hawk away because I don't know if a hawk is just geared for attacking and doesn't have a sense of defense when things are coming at different angles or what. But like they'll run away. But this one didn't. Landed right in the bunch of a middle of a bunch of myna birds and took that thing and just took it away and ate it. So the thing I was thinking, it made me think about you guys because some of you have been at the school for a while, and even though you don't see each other every day, you get a sense. Some of you have made friends. Some of you guys know, habits. Patterns. Different things about each other. And I wanted to kind of use this example and just say, watch each other's back. If you see somebody falling down, pick them up. If you see someone that needs encourage them. If you see somebody who's maybe needs help with the material or who is, procrastinating, just putting things off, watch out, because if you just let it happen, sometimes that hawk will just jump in there and your friend won't make it. So as you guys move forward, make this environment that we have here as supportive as you can. Anyway, really appreciate you guys being here today. Look forward to you guys on Thursday. Class dismissed.